AOC says so many people in this country hate women. Oh, geez. Even the guy at the party who pulls out a guitar is like, way to ruin the fun. You don't really love America if you hate half the people in it. And also if you hate a lot of the things that everybody always loved about it. There's an oft-repeated moment in political debates where the moderator says to the two candidates, say something nice about your opponent.
Ever since Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez began to gain momentum as a rising star for 2028, Bill Maher has been ringing alarm bells louder than ever before. It's not the first time. Back in 2024, he warned the Democratic Party when they went all in on Kamala Harris. That warning went unheeded, and the aftermath was political chaos. Now Maher's back, more outspoken than ever, highlighting what he sees as deep flaws in the party's latest favorite. He's practically begging progressives not to walk the same path again. So, if you're ready for some candid political commentary, hit that subscribe button, because it's about to get real.
What do you think of the fact that the people who are getting the big crowds right now are AOC and Bernie Sanders? They're going around the country. Thank you, there's that same guy. I call him the always wrong guy. Okay, but I feel like, big crowds, again, the shiny object that the Democrats chase it's not about the big crowds that come out to you when you're talking in a festival or wherever they are. I think it's because I think Bernie showed up at Coachella. That must have been fun for the fans. It's who shows up on Election Day. And I just don't see that's the ticket. I mean, Cory Booker, I know you've worked with him. I like Cory a lot from my home state of New Jersey. Made a speech for 25 hours. Again, just whacking each other off. This is just not what's going to get the job done.
Just days after Ocasio-Cortez's name began circulating as a possible replacement for Kamala Harris, things began to unravel quickly. Rather than stepping into the moment with strength and clarity, she's been creating confusion and raising eyebrows with her offbeat media appearances. Her recent economic claims and meandering takes on policy have left many voters puzzled. If this is the direction Democrats are considering for 2028, some serious reflection may be in order. Because every headline seems to spark more questions than confidence, and people are beginning to wonder, is this truly the best choice?
Unemployment is low because everyone has two jobs. Unemployment is low because people are working 60, 70, 80 hours a week and can barely feed their kids.
Everybody's an idiot except for me.
Capitalism has not always existed in the world, and it will not always exist in the world. When this country
It is the system that, unlike all the others, has lifted more people out of poverty over the course of human history than any other system.
Well, so I think that those things that you talk about, that you discuss, are part of the course of human evolution.
And this is exactly why voices like Bill Maher are raising red flags. When you peel back the viral moments, the expressive speeches, and the constant social media buzz, the substance feels thin. There's a difference between passionate messaging and meaningful leadership, and Maher sees that gap widening. He's not making wild guesses. He's observing patterns. To him, relying on a figure like AOC for the party's future could be a gamble that ends in political disaster. The concern isn't about passion, it's about direction, depth, and whether the momentary hype can translate into long-term leadership.
This is a serious problem for Democrats. Less than 1 in 4 Democrats under 30 say they're proud to be an American. 54% say they're embarrassed by it. Embarrassed? Like America's your mom picking you up at school? You're embarrassed to be an American? Well, guess what? The feeling's mutual. Because you have no perspective. Is America perfect? No, of course not. No country.
The Democratic Party is already facing declining support, especially as some voters grow tired of its focus on identity-driven narratives. President Biden left office amid fatigue and unmet expectations, while Kamala Harris struggled to connect with voters on a national scale. Now, AOC appears to be leaning into the same ideological framework that alienates many middle-of-the-road Americans. And potential backups like Gavin Newsom or Tim Walz. Their records are filled with polarizing policies and public skepticism. Even loyal Democrats are starting to drift towards centrists or stepping away altogether. The issue isn't just who leads, it's the growing disconnect between the party's message and the priorities of everyday people.
You don't really love America if you hate half the people in it. And also if you hate a lot of the things that everybody always loved about it. There's an oft-repeated moment in political debates where the moderator says to the two candidates, say something nice about your opponent.
We'll talk more about Maher's take in a moment, but first, let's examine what he's pointing out. A pattern of rhetoric from progressive leaders that often sounds more critical of the country than constructive. Maher doesn't hold back when he critiques what he sees as performative outrage and an over-reliance on identity-based politics. There's a tendency to dismiss any policy associated with Donald Trump, regardless of its merits. Tax relief for working families? Labeled problematic. Border enforcement? Instantly controversial. Energy independence? Written off as denialism. Maher argues that this blanket rejection of everything tied to Trump has veered from principle into dysfunction. In doing so, he says, the party risks alienating voters who still believe in the country's foundational values.
All the talk about fighting for the soul of America, nobody seems to like it very much. Too many liberals give the impression that to them, America is just a big, ugh. The red, white, and ew. A country that started out bad and will always be bad, founded on an unrelenting history of sucking and unable to change. But we have changed a lot. Democrat Cori Bush tweeted, "This land is stolen land and black people still aren't free." And this was on the 4th of July. Really? Not that I give a shit about the 4th of July. I've never been a rah-rah guy. But I am a perspective guy. And that's what too much of the left has lost. Perspective.
Sometimes, scrolling through social media, it feels like a wave of discontent has taken over the discourse. There's a vocal segment that often seems more interested in highlighting America's flaws than recognizing its strengths. While criticism is part of a healthy democracy, Maher and others argue that constantly framing the U.S. as fundamentally broken overlooks the freedoms and opportunities it still provides. Many of the loudest critics enjoy liberties like free speech and upward mobility that are rare or even non-existent in much of the world. Having traveled and seen different systems firsthand, it's clear, for all its imperfections, America remains a place where individuals can thrive. Losing sight of that undermines meaningful reform.
72% of black people under 30 are optimistic about their future in America. Way more than white people the same age. And as far as the land goes, yes, I guess we could change the name of Captain America to Captain Stolen Land. But honestly, to all the people who start every public event now with one of those land acknowledgments where they say, "I'm standing on land that was stolen from the proud indigenous people of the Chumash tribe," I say either give it back or shut up.
Then there's the concern about public image versus personal background. Critics of AOC often argue that much of her story is curated for maximum impact. Her image as a working-class fighter resonates with many, but questions have been raised about how closely it matches her upbringing. While her time working service jobs is real and relatable for millions, it's also part of a larger narrative that sometimes veers into theatricality. Critics argue that she's more focused on cultivating a brand than advancing clear, effective policy. Authentic leadership, they say, demands more than good optics. It requires consistency, transparency, and a willingness to evolve.
AOC says so many people in this country hate women. Oh, geez. Even the guy at the party who pulls out a guitar is like, way to ruin the fun.
When it comes to women's rights, there's a global context worth remembering. In the U.S., women enjoy legal and social freedoms that remain out of reach for many around the world. They can run for office, lead businesses, and speak out freely. In some countries, those rights are still being fought for, or outright denied. That contrast matters. Critics argue that framing America as inherently hostile to women ignores the broader picture and risks conflating disagreement with oppression. Debating policies doesn't automatically equate to misogyny. For Maher and others, recognizing progress while still pushing for improvement is key to a balanced conversation.
Congressman Jamal Bowman says capitalism is slavery by another name. No, it's not. It's the thing that has given more people more prosperity and hope than any other system, flawed though it surely is.
The debate over capitalism has become more charged in recent years, especially among younger voices on the left. But critics point out that the U.S. economic system, while far from perfect, has enabled generations to build wealth, innovate, and live with a degree of financial mobility that many in the world still seek. While alternatives like socialism can sound appealing in theory, history shows the risks. Countries that tried to replace market-driven systems with centralized models often ended up with shortages, repression, and mass emigration. The lesson Maher and others argue for is clear. Reform capitalism where it falters, but don't throw out the system that's lifted millions.
Again, something like the free market is kind of synonymous with America. And if you don't like it, I don't know how you can say you love this country. You know who loves this country? You know who's not constantly complaining about what happened 200 years ago and who's not obsessed with seeing America through colored glasses and shaking off the stench of what irredeemable privileged we are? Immigrants.
Immigrants, more than anyone, understand the stakes. Millions choose to come to the U.S. not for its flaws, but for its freedoms. The journey is often dangerous and uncertain, yet they pursue it with determination. If America were as bleak as some critics claim, why would so many risk everything to get here? For those who've lived under oppressive regimes or in struggling economies, the American experiment still represents a chance at dignity and self-determination. That's why Maher and others push back when they hear constant criticism without context. At its best, America is still a beacon, and while it's essential to improve it, it's just as important to appreciate what it already offers. And that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.